G'day, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Encounters Down Under Live. Great for you to join me. Thanks for joining me. It's been a while since I've done this, so I'm definitely going to be rusty on this one. It's great to be back on here, though. It's great to see everyone on the chat here and getting back in on it. It's absolutely wonderful. Uh, yeah, absolutely awesome. Like I said, I'm a bit rusty here, guys, so bear with me. You're here tonight. I'm guessing you know why you're here tonight, because we've got a very special guest tonight. Which you would have seen hopefully advertised through the Facebook page there and on YouTube there. If not, you should be getting on that Facebook page so you know who we are going to have on next or when we're going to be streaming next. But look, let's go on get things going there because we're running a bit late there. So sorry on that, guys. We had a bit of technical difficulties and whatnot, and little bit things behind. But you know what? Let's get into it. So on tonight we have special guests here, Damien Nott and Mike Williams. And you're probably wondering who's this random failure, Mike Williams. Well, we're going to find out very shortly, but I'm sure everyone knows who Damien Nott is. If you're in the UFO community, you're going to have a good idea who he is. So we're going to get him on here, guys, and go and have a good old chat and learn. If you haven't really learned much about Damien or who he is, you're about to find out about that as well. So anyway, let's get him on there so I can stop rambling. And g'day, boys. How you going?
Very good, thanks, Anthony.
Great, Anthony. Thanks for having us on, mate.
No, it's my pleasure, mate. Absolutely my pleasure. Sorry, a little bit of the shambly little intro there. I'm a bit rusty on this one.
Hey, I've had worse. We've had worse.
That's good.
You're all good.
So anyway, look, Damien, you've been in the UFO community for a long time. There, you've had like your own experiences there. You've been on even like the mainstream media. Talking with them there. I can't say they would have been the best experiences that you've had with them, to say the least. But but you've been out in the forefront basically when it comes to the UFO community, trying to uncover the truth or explain the truth in that regard. Mate, how have you been? Like, I suppose what we should really be starting with, like how have you been so far? Like, how's things where you're at now?
Where I'm at now, kind of at a crossroads, which I've just passed over, and I realised that, life's taking me in a different way now, and there's not much I can really do about it, and I have to leave the UFO field, leave all this craziness behind, and just enjoy, what time I got left. So that's pretty much where I'm at now.
Yeah, fair enough. Like, we'll dive down a bit deeper into what's been going on there, but we'll get on to Mike there. And Mike, welcome to the show, mate. Great having you on. Now, a lot of people, such as myself too, like I'm not really aware of who or what you are, and when it comes to this sort of community, like you're a good friend of Damien's there, as we were talking before a little bit. But mate, like, introduce yourself, mate. Let us know who you are. Is he there?
Sorry, you dropped out. My name is Mike Williams. I'm the elders of Weird Stuff, not in a good way. I'm 64 years old. In 1970, I started collecting books on weird stuff. I thought in about 1990, I thought it'd be much more interesting rather than just reading about people's experiences if I started traveling and interviewing people and looking for the phenomena itself. And that's where I am. I'm unknown basically to the UFO community because I don't just stay in the UFO community. I float between UFOs, ghosts, Forteans, magic, poltergeists, crypto.
Forteana.
I've done one book on the Australian big cats, the folklore of that. So I hide behind the term folklorist, or I collect folklore. Obviously, a lot of the stuff I'm interested in and the people I'm interviewing, it's not just folklore and nothing else than that. It's based on real experiences some of the time, and out of real historical events, sometimes you get folklore associated with real things. So I hide behind folklore to make it look like I'm not barking mad.
That's probably not a bad way of doing it too. Like you're uncovering the truth, but hiding behind a good little wall there. That's good. So what's your relationship when it comes to Damien? Like, how did you two sort of, bump
about 12 years ago, I was sent an email from a guy that was working part-time in the army as I think he was a medic. And that segues into something else mildly interesting as well. And it sent me the link to some of Damien's photos and videos, and I was looking through them and going, oh, yeah, whatever. And then some of the videos, I thought, that's a bit odd. So I've turned up with this guy, and we didn't see much, but I could see Damien was fairly keen on the subject.
He was representing MUFON Australia.
Yeah, the other guy, the part-time army guy. And then what I saw happen then was the inside the UFO community, that translated as an army intel from the Australian Army is now looking into Damien, initially starting from him telling people, I'm a part-time reservist trying to get full-time as a first aider medic.
And so we saw a massive army conspiracy. Yeah.
Massive conspiracy. That became folkloric, right? So he dropped out of the actual thing, and I started going back and meeting Damien, chatting away, and a few things. I didn't see much at all until we went up to Taree, and I still didn't know him that well. And at one stage, he said to me, "Oh my God, did you see that?" And I go, "What?" He goes, "A disc just went over our heads." And I'm like, "Yeah, right, buddy. Yeah, great. Yeah, sure." And I'm thinking to myself, another nut job. So we're fiddling around. And so,
but then he hung around a little bit longer.
But the Taree incidents, which I'll end up jamming into one, which sounds like one, it's a number of different occasions, was the initial thing that I knew something was up was Damien was bent over fiddling with something in his bag, and a tube like a fluorescent tube of glowing white appeared over his left shoulder, and then it goes from his left shoulder and disappeared into the ground about 3 or 4 inches to the left of his foot, just vanishes into the ground. He jumps up and goes, "Did you see that?" Now, if I hadn't have saw that, I would have gone, "This guy's a bullshit artist." So that was the beginning of the madness with Damien, where I knew he was the real deal.
And then the red light above the tree that appeared. There was a few things in relative succession. Yeah.
The red light started flashing across the valley, and that looked like a cherry red balloon. And Damien started, I think he took some stills, that ended up switching off. But over a number of times of going to that spot, sometimes nothing happened. But some of the stuff there, the most outrageous thing I saw happen there was we get there in the afternoon, and a plane would go over, a plane would go over, a plane would go over, and then a tube the same height as the planes in broad daylight goes over at the height of the planes. And I'm trying to work out that it's a plane, even though it's got no portholes, it's got no wings, it's got no tail, it's got no sound. So Damien starts to film it, and I'm swearing, going, "It's got to be a plane," and then going through why I have a complete cognitive dissonance problem. And what was even stranger than me swearing and wrecking his audio was he had a cheap junk camera. He can find it in the viewfinder and film it. I had a Sony A7S, which is a pretty nice camera. I can see these tubes go over the top of the camera. I never found them once through the viewfinder. So I could have possibly filmed them, but I didn't bother trying because I was having a breakdown of what I was looking at, and B, I couldn't see him through the viewfinder.
Yeah, I remember that well. If you hear him in the background, he's swearing like a trooper. F this, F that, I can't see them, I can't capture them. And I'm like, "Mike, can you please stop swearing? I'm trying to film these things. People aren't going to want to listen to some roughneck swearing his head off at them." But it was just hilarious. It was really good fun.
It was like bogus breakdowns. It was really bad. And another time we had the passive infrared detectors about 50 metres behind us. And when we go back and go through the footage, there was a magnetometer in front of them. So the magnetometer was working when there was a break in the localized magnetic fields. It would make a high-pitched hum. So something near the magnetometer and near the PIRs was breaking repeatedly the magnetic field around the magnetometer. So when we play back the actual passive infrared, which are working off infrared, not movement, something is right up close to the camera of the passive infrared trail camera, and it's going back and forth, over and over and over, but it's blurring out. We can't see what it was. And then Damien let the camera. Damien let the camera run, and later on he was picking up all these things like an organic stick appearing up in the skies and just squiggling off into different distances. It's a crazy place sometimes.
Yeah, that event actually happened at the same time that myself and Lance were at Tipperary, where that light flew into the ground over my shoulder. That was on the same night where I caught 13 of the lights behind us in the valley that we had our back turned to. I had the camera on. We didn't notice till the next morning. We caught 13 of the same lights coming in, and one even appearing horizontally above the mountain range, taking full form. And you can even see little porthole windows, like it appears out of nowhere, and then it takes form and moves out of the camera view. And that was just incredible. And so whatever those lights were that we caught in the sky, coming and changing direction and flying into the ground, making no noise, that's what we saw, Mike, what we caught on the video. Whatever that phenomenon is, I gather it is part of the UFO phenomenon, but it could be something, cosmic rays or something. I've gone down a whole bunch of routes trying to find out what this thing is, but yeah, it's still unknown, unfortunately.
When you're going up, when we had the Canadian film crew, we start at the bottom of the hill, and Damien's cameras, because he's had problems with batteries, Damien's cameras all charged. And then we go partly up the hill, and Damien goes, and I should have filmed it. Damien shows me the camera. Was it half or a third down already?
Oh, it was like halfway empty by the 5-minute trip up the hill. And then by the time we got up the hill, like 8 minutes away, it was fully empty. All the batteries are empty. Yeah, that happened a few times, didn't it, around sightings?
Get out.
Your gear, though, that's why. Yeah, but only your stuff. If you're ever with Damien, do not let him touch any of your camera gear.
Can I claim an insurance at least?
Yeah, probably not. I don't think anyone would insure me. That's definitely.
Well, they can insure the gear, mate. You can go and touch it, and then it's like, oh no, it's broken. Now I can get.
Yeah, that's part of the clause. If Damo goes near it, don't. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I go through a lot of computers, a lot of mobile phones. Everything dies on me, cameras, you name it. But it's usually when we go out investigating stuff. Well, Mike reckons it's me, but I think it's not me. It's the phenomenon. He thinks I'm a freak. I am a freak, but not that kind of freak. So
it's the Kavorka, the Seinfeld term is.
Well, that's what Mike calls it, the Kavorka, based on that Seinfeld episode where he walks around and he's got the Kavorka and all the good stuff and weird stuff's happening and whatnot. But my life's always been like that, so it's just another thing for me. I don't see it as weird, but it has come to affect me in a negative way, I must say, more health-wise than anything. And hence, this is why I need to fly off into the sunset and, do my thing.
Yeah, no, that's right. So look, mate, Damien, run us through like where things first sort of started for you when you came to the UFO scene.
Okay,
first encounter, or where it all started, basically.
Yeah, sure. Well, when I was 9 years old, I was living in Western Sydney at a place called Blacktown. I was coming back from a friend's place. It was a Sunday afternoon. I remember it was like it was yesterday. Those points in life that you remember that had such an impact. And I looked above me. I got to the top of the hill on the street adjacent to ours. And I don't know why to this day, but it's happened a few times since. But I looked up and there's a light just sitting there. And it was literally probably about 15, 20 feet above myself, maybe the size of a basketball, maybe a little bit bigger, just follow me. And basically I had a skateboard under my arm. I was going to go down the rest of the hill on the skateboard, but I just was curious about this thing, kept watching it, and I would stop and I noticed it would stop moving above me. And the whole sighting only lasted maybe 13 to 15 seconds, but it seemed like a lot longer than that. And I remember at first not being frightened, just being sussing out what it was, what this is, and thinking, is it a plane? What is it? It's really close. I've never seen anything like that. And then but then I got freaked out, and I remember just chucking the board under my arm and running the rest of the way home. After, about not long after seeing this thing and watching it stop when I would stop walking and then continue when I would continue. And then it just I didn't see where it left or if it followed me. I just ran. And I remember getting home and jumped up on the big, launched myself onto the balcony, went inside, and I told my mum I was really excited. And my mum said to me, she goes, "Oh, no, it was probably just a plane." And even at that age, I knew it couldn't have been a plane. I'd seen planes before as a 9-year-old, and I sort of argued with her for a sec, but then I just let it go. And then didn't do much about it. Got a little bit of interest in it, but, I was a kid, so I was doing sports and other things and, to take my mind off stuff. 3 years later, when I was 12, I was over at my father's place for weekend visitation, and he he had his family there, and my half brothers, step brothers, sorry, and it was a hot summer night. We're out in the backyard, and we're just looking up at the sky, and just watching the stars and that, and trying to cool down and having a laugh as you do as a kid. And then the next second, the same red light that was there 3 years earlier has appeared out of nowhere directly above us and started flying around like vast distances of the sky. It would stop and then go in a completely different direction. It was like doing a light show. And after about like a minute or two of this thing just zipping around, and my brothers seeing it and me pointing it out to them, and eventually another light was like a bluish yellow, like a strange blue, beautiful blue light came into play, and it was the same size as the other red light. Anyway, it started chasing the red light, seemed to be chasing the red light around the sky. That's what the three of us thought at the time. It was like it was trying to catch up with the red light, and it would cross vast distances and then would go to where the red light just was, and then the red light would go off in another direction and the blue light would follow. This happened for about another 3 to 4 minutes before another light came in. It was like a greenish yellow light, and did the same thing for another 10 minutes or so. It was one of the longest sightings I've had in my life, and I was just lucky I had my my stepbrothers there with me. I've got step and half brothers, but and so, yeah, it was really interesting. And for years after that, that would be something whenever we'd catch up, we'd talk about it, that sighting, because it was pretty impactful. And it was that sighting that convinced me that, hey, there's something crazy to this. It's incredible. It's amazing. And then I started going to the school library, and I started borrowing books about phenomenon and UFOs and ghosts and all this kind of stuff. And so, yeah, I've had an interest from a young age in it, and just trying to find out what it was. And in a kind of, it almost sounds narcissistic, but I wanted to kind of prove my mum wrong by her saying it was an aeroplane. I wanted to say, hey, no, I saw something strange, Mum, believe me, and so it kind of launched me as well into trying to find out what this was that I saw. And then I realized that other people around the world had seen it, and I got fascinated in it more and more. And just like everyone else who gets into it, like I just wanted to find an answer. That's pretty much it. And I mean, we've had a lot of experiences up to this date, and I've had a lot of luck with UFOs in the sense that when they appear, like I've had them appear while documentary makers have been here from the US and Canada and here in Australia, multiple documentaries, and that hasn't happened before. It's a really rare thing for them to do that. And I know that I don't know what the connection. I know I have some strange connection with the phenomenon because it's turned up so many times in my life at the strangest times, and it knows me, and I feel like I know it, but I don't, and it drives me crazy. And I feel like I know what it is, but I don't. The human part of me doesn't know what it is. And yeah, so I guess I'll always be trying to find answers. But one thing that I won't do is lie to people and say, oh, okay, it's the Pleiadians from here, and they're telling you this, or they're telling me this. The aliens don't talk to me. So I'm either too crazy for the aliens, or they're not talking to anyone. So, I mean, it's really hard to say. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't trust anything they tell me, because there is a trickster element to the phenomenon, and it's not as nice and pleasant as what people make it out to be, or what people would like to think it is, such as, going back to the 60s and 70s, or the contactee phenomenon, where aliens would speak to certain individuals and they'd get a big following around themselves, and aliens would constantly change what they're telling them, and the nuclear weapons are bad and they're here to help us with their technology. No, they're not. And sorry, everyone, but they're not here to help us with technology. They're not here to help us with anything. They are monitoring and pretty much trying to not stick their fingers in too much into the pie. But at the same time, I believe that they've been steering us in certain directions for a very, very long time. And for whatever reason, who knows? But if they created us, it would make a lot of sense that they would want to monitor us without interfering too much. But who really knows? At the end of the day, there's so many questions. And, it's really frustrating to have a lot of evidence, but no real answers. And so a lot of the UFO field is made up of conjecture. It's made up of wishful thinking. It's made up of what a lot of people hear other people's stories. So no one really knows the truth about UFOs. And I don't even think that the government really knows the truth about them, hence why they're being kept quiet and kept out of everyone's lips as much as possible for many years now. And to the point recently, obviously, where everyone's got mobile phones and they've had to sort of stick their foot in to try and take control of the phenomenon back that they've said doesn't exist for so long. But yeah, there's just so much going on in the UFO field behind the scenes. And it is a dangerous game that I've got myself mixed up in. And a lot of people around me have experienced the nasty and negative side to what's happened and what happens whenever I go public again. And there's a lot of strangeness, and I don't know why they do it or why they play around or what's going on. But yeah, there's a lot more to this than meets the eye.
Oh, most definitely. Like when you're saying, like it's a nasty playground, isn't it? When it comes to the UFO community, with everything that goes on, like everyone seems to want to try and be the right person who's going to give you the answers, but then someone turns around and goes, "No, you're full of shit." And it's like, we're supposed to be working together here to try and get the answers. Like, why is everyone so against each other? Like saying, "Oh no, you're full of shit." No, you're full of shit. And
human ego. Everyone wants to be the one, wants to be the man. Everyone wants to be the expert. Everyone wants to be the person who discloses it to the world. It's the next big thing, basically. So you've got people stepping on each other's backs just to put their hand up and say, "I'm the man," you know. And I'm not that type of person. So I would rather happily back away and just let the dogs eat each other, because you know, as far as I'm concerned, I've just told the truth as much as I can. And the truth is, I don't know what I'm dealing with. And that's not exciting enough it's not as exciting as someone who's saying that I've been abducted every night and the aliens tell me this and that. And I don't have a story like that, unfortunately. And my story is more aligned with, or the way it's ended or going to end is more in line with a lot of the older sightings, like in Brazil, where UFOs, the nasty side of UFOs, where UFOs actually have attacked humans, and it's been investigated and reported and stuff like that. So I've come across another part of the UFO field, and one thing that I've never told the public, which I wanted to say tonight, and something that we've put together through medical reports, and going back to the incident where Mike was speaking about at Tipperary, where the light flew into the ground next to me. Well, basically, not long after that, I started losing my teeth. My bones started getting worse. And this was, 12 years ago. And then literally after the second event 4 years ago, everything has just gotten a million times worse. And basically the bones in my body, I've been told 4 years ago I had the bones of a 95-year-old woman and it was so rare, and it just doesn't happen to men your age, and what's going on, and no one can work out why. And obviously I know why, but you can't just go up to a doctor and say, "Hey, I've had a UFO flash a light at me or appear over my shoulder and burn me." And because the doctor would just think you're absolutely insane. And I had this like 10 years ago when I was here, 12 years ago, sorry, when I was in Dunedoo last. And I saw a doctor in Dunedoo. And not long after, I actually had a migraine for 2 days after seeing a UFO up close in the backyard. And this doctor said to me, it was just a GP, but he said to me, I said, "What do you think could be causing the migraines?" And just to test him out, I said, "Well, I saw a bright light above my backyard a couple of days ago." And straight away, he twisted around on his chair, started typing something on his computer. And mind you, I've gone in to get some migraine medication to get rid of this headache. And he printed something out, gave me a piece of paper and said, "Before I can help you, I wanted you to take this down to this address." And it was for the mental place, for mental people at Dubbo.
Oh,
and even though I was in the newspaper the weekend before, which he had near his desk, and I said, "Look in the paper in the Sun Herald, there I am talking about these lights," and anyway, so it was funny, but he just thought I was crazy off the bat. And in country towns, like, you don't mention anything UFOs. Unfortunately, I've become a bit of a pariah here. A lot of people know there's a lot of old-fashioned people who don't believe in that stuff, and so you're an instant bad person or an evil person, or there's a lot of people who think that this is demonic. And so I've been attacked by Christians for 12 years, Catholics for 12 years. People all around the world have attacked me. Other people have loved me. Some people think I'm Lucifer, Jesus. It is insane, this whole thing. And I can't do it anymore. I need to concentrate on my own health. And what's happened is basically over the last year or whatever, I've lost a lot of weight. I've gotten really gaunt. So I've lost a lot of muscle mass. And bone density as well. And no one can really help me. No one can deal with it. They can't give me the regular osteoporosis treatment that they give to old people because of side effects like necrosis of the jaw and stuff like that. So I can't have that because I'll get what's called glass jaw syndrome, where I'll be eating food and then all of a sudden my whole jaw will shatter into 100 pieces. And this is a side effect of this medication. And so, they can't do anything to help me. So basically, I'm constantly fracturing my spine by doing things like opening doors, turning taps on. I have, I think, several vertebrae that are completely squashed and fractured in my back. And so no one can tell me why. Of course, I'm not opening my mouth out about the UFOs anymore to doctors or anything like that. They don't seem to handle that stuff kind of well. And so, it becomes a really lonely road when you're dealing with this, and there's not really anyone or not many people out there that can really understand what you're going through, and no help from any doctors as well. And this is why I was really disappointed when it came out in the Pentagon with the UFO report with the 100 people like myself that were studied by the CIA, and I realized after that and after several months that, nobody can help me with this. And I need to do what I have to do. I can't keep sticking my neck out, hoping that some doctor around the world is going to have some kind of answer that could help save my life. Because I'm going downhill really badly and literally down to 57 kilos now. And that's like grossly underweight for my height, apparently. And so I've got a lot of issues. I get a lot of migraines all the time, and I just in pain most days. And I'm on some heavy medication. Like just for instance, I broke my thumb yesterday turning a tap on. And so it's these kind of things are just constantly happening. I make plans, and then and so I'm going somewhere soon. I'm getting out of the town and leaving for calmer waters, so to speak, and I'm going to try and leave this whole UFO thing behind me, and then when I get into this better environment and whatnot, hopefully I can start enjoying some of my life, what's left, and and go from there, kind of thing. But there's been so much happen, man, over the last few years. It's just I could be here for 4 hours talking about it all, and literally I would do too, because I like to go off on tangents. Ask Mike. I'm pretty bad like that, but But so I'll shut up for now and let you do some talking to Mike. But that's pretty much like the crux of everything for me. I've been very lucky when it comes to some things with UFOs, with them appearing in documentaries after presentations, stuff like that. But in other ways, like how they've made me unwell, I'm definitely I'm not too lucky in that respect. But at the same time, I've got no one to blame but myself. I've made this my life for the last 36 years, and I've pushed aside everything in my life just for this answer. Like it's been like an absolute, and it's drained me as a human, literally drained me. So it's not something I recommend everyone getting into unless you've got really, really, really thick skin.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's horrible. Like you mentioned things like you just turned the tap on and you broke your thumb. Like that's crazy. Insane. Like, mate, I think you need to tell the wife that to stop tightening the taps up too much.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
But that's just, it's crazy, like how something like that, like having such a close encounter can diminish your health so quickly, so brutally. I've got your photo here, like when you said like you got your burns there, like from radiation burns, and like this is something that soldiers and that have been claiming that they've been getting throughout their
Yeah, see,
experiences there.
nobody's seen this photo. This is the first time. This is actually 2 weeks after a little bit less than 2 weeks after the event 4 years ago in Sydney. And that white stuff on my face is cream, as I mentioned before.
It's
And
not a porno, guys. Calm down.
and the red marks like just came out of nowhere, but not instantly. And the same thing with the burn on my left arm. It didn't come and start coming, showing up to about probably a week after the initial event. And then it just started as a red mark, like a sunburn in one area. And it didn't hurt to touch or anything like that. And then all of a sudden, about 2 weeks after it appeared, it just started blistering and it turned green. I've never seen a green blister before. It was insane. And this thing, I started having really bad seizures on the same, like a week or two after that UFO incident. My dog also started having seizures. He was next to me when we saw the UFO, when it flashed that really bright flash at us. And so my dog saw it, and he'd seen a few UFOs before, like, 10 years ago back in Dunedoo and stuff like that. He saw heaps in the backyard. And so, yeah, like he knew about them, but he was like really quiet. But he started having seizures, and I had to put him down about 2 months after that UFO event. Yeah, just because the seizures were becoming more and more frequent, and I was having to stay up with him all night because he was just constantly having them, and he'd constantly fall and hurt himself, and I didn't know what else to do, And yeah, and anyway, and I'm kind of at risk. I've damaged myself with seizures too, falling, breaking bones and stuff like that. I got told because my bones that weak that so what I have and what I've found out recently is that it's much worse than what it was 4 years ago. So even with treatment, not the treatment that causes the bad side effects, but with vitamin K2, vitamin K1, other vitamins and things that are known to put calcium from the blood into the bone. I've been doing that for years now, and it's literally had zero effect. And also, it's actually gotten worse. To be classed as severe osteoporotic, which is far on the other end of the scale from osteoarthritic, you have to be what's called on the T and Z scale, and you have to be greater than a minus 2.5 to be classed as serious osteo. And 4 years ago, I was classed as a 3.0, which is way worse than severe. And now I'm at 3.8, which is like in the realm of bone disease, bone cancer, that kind of thing. So it's got much worse, and it's literally, it's sucked the life out of me in every single way. Yeah,
that's horrible. And you mentioned that you had these US like professors, doctors, and all that in the US there trying to help you out. And we can't mention names here for certain reasons, but I'm sure everyone's going to understand and realize who we're going to talk about in a minute. You're on the Channel 7 documentary there with a certain reporter, and you also had what is he, a professor in neurology and all sorts of stuff there. They were supposed to help you out in that. Like, did anything come out of that at all? Like, because he was pretty adamant on trying to help you out on that and figure something out. But like, where we go with that?
Where did that go to? Nowhere. I was not even contacted. This has been happening for 2 years now. People have been dangling help in front of me to talk about me on podcasts or whatever the case. And I say, yeah, no worries. Do you mind if I mention you to this certain person who's done these studies and done this and that, and they can help you, and they want to help you, and this and that. And this went on for months and months and months and months. And one thing that really frustrated me is, when you're unwell and you're not asking anyone for help, you're not putting yourself out there saying, oh, help me, everyone, help me, give me help. You're not asking for help. But when people are asking you for your help and saying, can I talk about your story? And these people want to help you. And then when nothing comes of it, how many times can you keep trusting this person who keeps dangling this help that never comes? And it just really, really angered me, because you don't dangle a carrot in front of someone who's sick. You don't play games with someone who's sick, because they're on their last ropes with things in life. And I just felt like some of these reporters, they're a bit loose with the truth. And basically, I'll do something for you if you scratch my back, and it's always one-sided. I found I'd be scratching their back, and I would not get my back scratched in return. So, and this happened time and time again. And for me, it just the media after that. There is no more of the media for me, and that's part of the reason I'm leaving too, because right from the start, I've had media, Channel 7, Today Tonight even lied about my story. Just little things like that mean a lot to me, like making claims that Damien has claimed to have the world's biggest photo and video collection. I've never claimed that. That was like clipped off an old... Sorry, Mike?
Remember someone misinterpreted me making that claim.
That's right.
I said Damien's collections of photos of videos in the world, and they attributed you for the direct quote.
Yep. And I'm always getting attacked by people because of media they listen to who get my story wrong. And I've had enough of it. I've had enough of explaining to people, no, that's not the truth. This is the truth. Here is where I said it in the past. Here's a link to it. I'm just sick. I literally cannot trust a journalist. And I find it hard to believe that anybody could trust a journalist in the UFO field, especially after all the stuff with Trump and the whole how media are very two-faced, and especially in the UFO field. It's funny how nobody's trusted the government for many, many years to tell us the truth about UFOs, but as soon as the government, puts their ears out and goes, hey, UFOs may be real, and people, oh, wow, we believe you, government. It is incredible how people will put aside all their beliefs just because they hear something that they want to believe, even though that's something they want to believe, which is disinformation. It was whole, like with TTSA and all that kind of stuff. That's another story as well. But this whole thing is just the government, through reporters, trying to get a hold of the UFO phenomenon just to bring it up and then rubbish it like they have done recently again with the Pentagon report and stuff like that. They have done it time and time again. It's disinformation and misinformation. CIA back in the 70s, they worked out what's the best way to do it. Tell people some of the truth and also fill a lot of lies in there as well. So people, when the lies are found out, it obfuscates the truth. So they're like, okay, well, if the lies are true, then the truth must be fake as well. So it kind of throws everything out by them doing that. And they're masters of manipulation. They've been doing it for a long time. And the UFO field is not something that they want us to be good little workers, pay your taxes and do your thing, and don't ask questions. I mean, that's pretty much what we are, is just workers, really. And don't ask questions, don't, stir the pot or anything like that. And, that's why I've become a bit of a pariah, but I don't care. I'll put my neck out there because I know it's the truth, and I know that it's a massive phenomenon on this earth. It's something that's affected like people for hundreds, if not thousands of years. They've been here. So, people can say what they want, but one thing I don't trust is governments and reporters. Never again. I'll never work with a reporter again as long as I live.
Yeah, because you've been a few times there now on the mainstream media with like Channel 7 and 9 News as well. I think we're like in the morning shows there. I think I've seen you a couple of times there, and you'll have your spiel there and go and explain yourselves, and probably like uncover what's possibly happening now. But they don't really seem to dive down deep enough to really want to know. Really, it's just like it's a little segment here and there, like we'll give you a bit of airtime there, and like how's it been for you there doing that? Like because to me, you've been, like I said earlier, like you're the forefront, basically the face when it comes to UFOs for Australia when it came to the mainstream media, and a lot of people knew of you because of that. What you've been through with the news and that. It's like, how's it been with you, like dealing with them? Like I can't imagine it's been great overall.
As in dealing with news people?
Yeah, like just them themselves.
Like they've got a story to tell at the end of the day, and basically you're there to tell a story, and that's all they care about. They care about their paycheck. They don't care about your feelings or really the phenomenon. I mean, Liz Wheeler, the reporter, she was lovely at Channel 9, and in between the breaks, she'd lean over and say, oh, so is it really true? Are they real? And I'd be like, yeah, they're real. And she's like, oh, she was all giddy like a schoolgirl. I was like, oh, awesome. And she was funny, and she was right into it. But then, so it's just an interesting for them. Like most people will never see a UFO in their life. And so most people live in doubt of other people's experiences. So it's it's just one of those things. And if you're one of the few that are unlucky enough to see a number of UFOs, then you're definitely not going to have most people believe you. Most people will think you're an absolute loon. And that's because of the government and the way that over the years they've handled the disinformation and the rubbish of people and the rubbish of the phenomenon. They've done everything they can over the years to, shut us up and, don't believe your lying eyes, basically, what you see in the sky, because you're seeing birds, you're seeing balloons, insects, shut up and pay your taxes. That's it.
Yeah.
And so
but in saying
I'm
that
not that type of person.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But in saying that too, though, like I've done a lot of like I run the Australian UFO sightings page there, and we get a lot of people coming through with their images and stuff like that, or their experiences or something that they might have possibly captured. But a lot of the time, it is a misidentification, something that they don't understand, or they've thought, oh yeah, it's a UFO. Quick, we've got to go and like share it and get all excited and like
it is easy to do. Like if you're standing there, you take 2 or 3 photos in a row, right? And you capture something in the middle photo and you're like, oh, what's that? Could be interesting. 95% of the time, it'll be an insect or a bird, something close to the lens or, whatever. But what's undeniable is the large or the small balls of light that fly off in different directions. Something like that can't be misinterpreted as something. But for me, I mean, in the beginning, when I first got into photography 12 years ago, I had no idea about photography. I had no idea about lenses, anything like that. Like I was not versed in it. But I made a mistake a few times myself where I would capture insects and go, oh, wow, that is actually exciting, because I had no idea. And that's what a lot of people out there, until they really get into photography, so over the last decade, I've purchased, I think, 52 cameras. Now I've sold most of them now. I think I've got 4 or 5 left. But I've gone through and I would just literally stay outside for hours and hours photographing insects, photographing birds at all distances, shutter speeds, you name it, like with different cameras to see, because different megapixels and different companies, they look different. And so I'd noticed that too. I'd get sent a lot of photos when I went public, and a lot of people would be capturing birds and insects. And a lot of people don't want to hear that they're capturing birds or insects.
Yeah, I know.
They get a bit angry about it, but it's
what?
Oh, you have to understand that it's an easy mistake to make, but if you realize that it's fake and then keep pushing it, then that's another story as well. But a lot of people want to think that because an insect can actually look, you get the green bottle fly, and when they fly around and they reflect the sun at a certain angle, they can look just like a green metallic UFO. And I've captured a couple. They're hard to capture, but just at the right angle, you can go, oh, wow, that's fantastic. But you always have to watch out when you get sent and people trying to fool you as well, or trying to get famous through you, or trying to get you to promote their stuff or you to promote them. So there's a lot of people out there like that too. And I've been sent a lot of stuff and people trying to get me to authenticate things for them so they can go and sell their photos. And I'm like, no, I don't authenticate people's stuff so you can go and sell it. I make no money off ufology. So I purposely make no money and I don't want to. And I've turned down a lot of stuff because I don't want to be, it's not a field I want to make money out of. It's something I want to contribute to, not take from. And I don't want to leave this world with people going, oh, yeah, he caught some great stuff and he's seen some great stuff, but he took heaps of money, so he was in it for the money. And that's what people say. And when I was a kid and I'd read the books and stuff from the 70s and 80s, and there would always be, there'd be some skeptic going, oh, yeah, but he did a bunch of talks and presentations, so therefore he was doing it for money. And that's enough to bring in a lot of people's minds that person down and bring down their credibility, just for some people saying that. So I didn't want to give people that ammunition to use against me, because I'm not in this for myself. Well, I was in the beginning. I was in it for answers, to tell you the truth. But the more when I went public and people would reach out to me, I realized that it was a really deep phenomenon that affects a lot of people around this world, and a lot of people that can't talk about it, keep it to themselves. And and it's good in a ways because I have a lot of people contact me who share their sightings that they can't talk about with other people. But thankfully, it's changing nowadays too, and there's a lot of people that are more open-minded about it. And it doesn't have the stigma that was attached to it, even though there is still a stigma attached, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And the government aren't helping in any way with this because, I mean, through reporters, they're giving out hoax stories like crashed UFO sources in Italy, right? That was one of the stories that came out on the news recently. And that was a hoax story. Yeah, that was a hoax story from a long time ago. And that was already long debunked. But it comes out of government whistleblowers and a whole bunch of them that you don't know who they are. Very strange. But if a whole bunch of them are telling the truth, then it must be true. Hey, Mike.
Yeah, the old multiple witnesses. Multiple witnesses that are reporting the same hoax. That was the joke.
Yeah, that's right. Wow. So it must be true in some reporters' minds. It must be true if a whole bunch of secret government people are saying the same thing. So it must be true. I mean, these people aren't whistleblowers because they're not sticking their necks out. No one knows who they are. They could be anyone or they could be nobody. And so as far as I'm concerned, if like Mike or myself came out with like a story about a UFO, a giant UFO under a landmark, and then said, oh, we can't talk about it but we can tell you the story, we would have been laughed out of the UFO field a long time ago for telling stories. But reporters can now come in, tell a whole bunch of stories to obfuscate the truth, but, and just spread a little bit of truth and a little bit of disinformation. And so it's not really a good thing for someone to say, oh, yeah, I know the truth about a massive UFO under a landmark, but I can't tell anybody because someone somewhere might get offended or hurt. I mean, that's just showboating to me, and that's not something that a journalist should be doing. And also, like I'd like to say, there is no experts in this field. There's people like some of us who've experienced the phenomenon, who've researched it, studied it in every single way in your whole lives, and we don't class ourselves as experts because if you're true to yourself and you actually have experienced the phenomenon, you'll know that you're more in the dark than when you first started pondering what it was. When I was 12, I thought it was aliens from Mars like everyone else, right? And then you grow up and you start realizing, okay, it's not flying saucer aliens from Mars, but there is that aspect, like some sort of visitation aspect, but then there's another aspect that's been here with humans the whole time. And Mike's an expert on that kind of side of it, the folkloric side of it. And that's why him and I get along so well, because we've both, researched a lot of the Forteana stuff growing up and seen links with a lot of the phenomenon. And Mike's experienced a lot of the poltergeist stuff with me too, like the ghost stuff when we were filming Haunted Skies up here, a year and a half ago or whatever it was. And we just had constantly strange, bizarre things happening. Like all the cameras were turning themselves off, the batteries would drain, they would stop themselves, the cameras. There was like, we'd walk into the kitchen and then there'd be a sound like a gunshot going off in the house behind us, like a shotgun. It was so loud. Right out of the room we just walked back in there. There's nothing in there. Nothing's fallen over. Nothing to explain it. I'm sitting getting interviewed for this documentary, and then all of a sudden I feel like a little pinch on the back of my neck. And I like, while I'm getting filmed on the two cameras, I put my hand on the back of my neck, looked at my hand, and it's covered in blood. I'm like, what's going on? Yeah, it was bizarre. And so I stopped filming, and Mike's come over. I'm like, what's going on? And all of a sudden there's just blood. And Mike's looking at my neck, and he's like, there's like these strange scratches on your neck, and there's a little hole, and there's like blood coming out of this hole in my neck, like a size of a pin, like something had gone right through into. While I was talking on the camera, it was, and I've had a lot of this weird stuff happen, and I know that there is some weird connection with UFOs and paranormal phenomenon. And whatever that connection is, I mean, it does show up on, certain meters, EMF meters, stuff like that, magnetometers, and it shows up in very similar ways. Animals react in, similar ways to it. And there's a few other coincidences, but yeah, it's just, More questions, man. More questions. The more you ask, the more questions you have, really.
Oh, and that's the worst thing about this field, isn't it? Like you can just keep going on forever and ever with more questions. You're never going to find the answers, and that's the most frustrating part of the whole thing. Like you
Yeah.
could have. I'm going to be talking to 100 people, and I won't have a single idea of like where we're going with this now. Like because like someone's going to have a different theory, and it's like, are they on the right path or is it the wrong path? It's like where's this going to go? Like where are we going to get a straight and narrow answer? Of what
Yeah.
everything is,
That,
like and how
that
it is.
That's the thing Mike will tell you about. There is no straight and narrow answer with this, unfortunately. And like, I wish there was, man. Whenever you put your finger on the pulse of something and you think you have an answer, you're even further away from the truth. And all I do know is that I've experienced in my life, I've experienced both the paranormal side of things. Like I remember when I was 15 and my grandmother died, and I remember just sitting up in the room was completely dark. And I sat up. I hadn't seen her for a little while, and or spoken to her, and she was just dying of emphysema. And all of a sudden, I just felt this insane. I can't explain it. I sat up in my bed. The room was pitch black. I started bawling my eyes out, talking to my nan in the room. I didn't see her, but I knew she was there. And I know I can't explain it. I can't. Anyway, just as quick as it started. And I was saying, I'm sorry, Nan, I love you so much. And I lied back down on my bed, fell straight back to sleep, woke up in the morning, and there was a phone call for me from my grandfather saying, your Nan passed away last night. And I was like, what? I knew it. And I said that to him, and he didn't take that too well. He just thought, okay, this guy's a bit weird. He knew what you... Yeah, but it was like she came and visited me. I've had many other things like that happen in my life. I've seen like people, like an old man walk towards me. I look away and look back, and there he's gone. He's gone, and there's no way. And I went outside and I looked everywhere, up and down the street. There was no cars, no anything. There's no way. He's walking down really slowly to the door, and then I just looked back and he's gone. And I've seen some just bizarre things, man. But these UFOs, whatever they are, they seem to like to harass me sometimes. And they play games, and it is really strange. And there is a thing about them being tricksters, and that's why I couldn't trust anything they say if they did speak to me. But they don't.
So that leads me to my next question then too. Like obviously with such an involvement in UFOs and talking to so many other people there, and a lot of people claiming, they can speak to other beings there. What's your thoughts on that whole concept? Like, do you think it's an actual thing? Is it, I don't know, like, what would you call it?
It is hard to say. There could be, I think it is a lot of humans that are saying that want something in their life like that to happen. They want people around them to believe that this has happened to them. So they take from old stories where it's happened or not happened to other people in the past. I'm not saying that it's not true at all, because I know that there is a deep, strange part of this phenomenon, and it does affect people in different ways, and it does do different things. There is the phenomenon about, I don't know if you know Jane Pooley.
Yep.
She was a lady. Yeah, she'd had, with the babies and was implanted and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've had her on the podcast before. Lovely lady.
Yeah, she's nice. And then she went on, I think it was Channel 10 a couple of years back, and she passed 2 lie detector tests. So she at least believes what she's saying is the truth about what they did to her with the babies, and came and took the babies and everything. And so look, there is that aspect to it, and there's a strangeness aspect to crop circles as well, which Mike can tell you more about. There's some strange things, little aspects to certain things, but I think humans elaborate a lot as well. And as you know, the human ego and all that kind of stuff too. And yeah, there's a lot of people in this field that want something like that to happen, and I guarantee you that you do not want this to happen to you. If it does happen, you don't want it. That's all I got to say, because I'm not going to call anyone liars or anything like that. I'm not here to blast anyone or put anyone on notice or heat or whatever. I'm just telling the truth about the way I see the phenomenon, and my experiences with people, my experiences with I've met some lovely people in this field, and I've met some absolute cretins as well, and people who people who are actually really what's the word? Two-faced. Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that in this field. There'll be people who'll be friends with you on Facebook and then liking your posts, and they're rubbishing you behind your back, telling people they won't have you talk at their UFO group ever again because you only capture balls of light. Like stuff, like crazy dumb stuff like that. The truth is they just don't like you themselves, but they have to make up stories and rubbish you to everyone else. And I could put these people on notice, but I've promised other people that I will not say anything about them, and they can go and live their life. But what I will tell you is that most people who are, except for probably one or two groups in Australia, most people who are presidents of UFO groups really know little to nothing about UFOs at all. And most of them have never even seen a UFO or experienced it. This is why I find people are like journalists who talk about other people's stories. They're now classed as experts in a subject they've never seen or experienced themselves, but somehow they're an expert in it by telling someone else's story about that subject. It makes no sense to me, and it does my head in. And now these so-called UFO experts, these reporters, are now passing people's videos that they're getting sent as the real deal, which are obviously hoaxes. And their excuse for being video experts all of a sudden is that the person seemed nice, so why would they lie? And I mean, it just why are we doing anything that Mike and I have been doing, trying to get some actual credibility to the subject, when someone can just come in like a reporter, tell a whole bunch of lies to people, and then all of a sudden become an expert in something that it's like a delivery, a post office worker who's never delivered a letter, or a cop who's never seen a criminal. It's how can you be an expert in something you've never experienced or seen? It really does my head in. So anyway, apart from that, like, the people that I know, and I think I mentioned this to you on the phone the other day, Mike Williams is one of the most knowledgeable people in the phenomenon that I've ever met. I've never met anyone with the amount of books that he has. Like, he has enough books that would fill up probably an average-sized person's home, but they're neatly stacked. So, but I've never seen so many books. Apparently, the only other ufologist who has more books is Bill Chalker. Is that right, Mike? Your mate, Bill?
Yeah. As soon as Bill dies, I'm in there straight away.
You're getting his books? I think books are becoming a bit redundant. Mike, you there?
Yes, I am.
That's all right. He's getting his books, but yeah, like you said, like a lot of people claim they're experts there, and like I for one, I agree with you. I don't think anyone's a expert in this. What would you call it now? Phenomena or anything like that. Like, I've got the Facebook page, the UFO page, and unfortunately it has to say group expert, and it's like people go, "Oh, you're you're expert on this thing." It's like, I'm not a group expert. I'm just here.
That's what Facebook says.
Knowledgeable. Yeah. I'm knowledgeable on the topic, but I'm by far no expert. Like, you can come to me and I can tell you maybe a few things here and there, and share some footage, and I might be able to go and run through to try and find out if it was a plane or a drone or something that can sort of try and explain the phenomena. And then like saying people crack the shits because you're not going to go and tell them it's a little green man flying a spacecraft. And it's like, well, I can't give you that answer because I can't see the evidence behind that.
I know exactly what you're going through there, because I went through the same thing a decade ago, and when I would get all those cameras basically and start training myself to learn to what to look for basically in insects and birds and stuff like that. That's when I found out what things look like, that kind of stuff. So I put that up on the old website, the AAPI website, and I literally was attacked by so many people who would send me pictures of insects because I'm showing my pictures of insects, and basically I rubbished a lot of my old footage. The first stuff that I took when I was like going, oh wow, this is great, UFOs are everywhere. Turns out they're insects, and and I'm like, but because I tried to train myself to not be deluded, and then I was honest and open about it publicly and said, yeah, I've made a mistake, and these are real UFOs, this is not. here's a misidentifications part of the website. So I put that out there for everyone, and it ruffled a lot of feathers because it was like the UFO field thought I was completely rubbishing everyone and all of their pictures and all of that. No, I'm not. I was just trying to bring a bit of light to the subject and bring a bit of truth and honesty to it, instead of all of your stories and all of your little ego trips. And like, the field is just full of a lot of people, disenfranchised people, a lot of people. What do you say, Mike? It's an out there field full of out there people, or something like that.
It's not a very good feel for attracting the highest intellect, unfortunately. It's the profound attracts the profane.
Yeah.
That's one way to put it.
It is true.
I love it.
UFO experts in this field, I think you touched on it, Anthony. It's not so much that you know what the phenomena is; it's what you know the phenomena isn't. And if you rush into this field, as Damien mentioned before, going, it's ET, I know it, blah, 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 you're off your head. If you go back to the 1950s when the US government and in the original UFO report, they all knew that it was all ET, and all the insiders and government spooks, and everyone kept saying, the whistleblowers at the time, and they're having different things. It was about to come out. The exact same stories now, 70 years later, and the UFO people now, most of them on YouTube, like 14 and 20, and males, they appear to be ignorant of the history of ufology. The phenomena, in actual fact, I don't believe it never has and never will be. The phenomena is actually more interesting than ET. It's more like a Jacques Vallée before he went barking mad with that sort of stuff.
Yeah, which is sort of unfortunate too. Like when you see like people who like, especially like professors or university degree people or something, like someone in that sort of like high remark in some sort of field or whatever, and they come out and they start trying to search into UFOs and that, and then like either they start going down this different different path there, and it sort of sends them a bit warped, and they get too indulged in what they're trying to figure out and think it's true. I guess
Yeah,
how
and
do you
also
get away from that.
I've noticed a lot of the intellectuals, they because anytime an intellectual steps his foot into the water of ufology, of course he's going to get more attention than the average Joe claiming to see a UFO. And because people have been looking towards intellectuals, so-called intellectuals, to tell the world the truth about the phenomenon for many years. But it's been because the stigma, mostly intellectuals stay away from it because they don't want their careers destroyed or themselves to be rubbished or whatever, or put into a certain basket. And that's understandable. But what's really disappointing for us is that when these so-called intellectuals came in, after a respected reporter, not because of any of us sticking our necks out for many years, screaming the truth from mountaintops, but a reporter comes out and everyone, but that's understandable because he's respected and he has a name. So of course people are going to go, oh, wow, listen to everything he says as the gospel. And unfortunately, a lot of stuff that's coming out of reporters' mouths is not true. And we can't trust anything that comes out of the government regarding UFOs. And I would have thought that after 70 years that people would realize that, but this keeps happening time and time again. Every few years, a new study, Project Sign, Project Grudge, Blue Book, Moonblink, everything. It's just to appease the public's interest in the phenomenon. And if you look at all the times the studies have started up in the US, it's always when there's a lot of sightings that have happened, a lot of respected people see UFOs, and the Air Force has to go, okay, we've got to shut this down. Appear like we're researching it, looking into it. And, a lot of people who are honest, which is not many in that kind of part of the field, like Dr. J. Allen Hynek, he realized that they were trying to, with Project Blue Book, actually rubbish the phenomenon. And, he was an impeccably honest man. And so when he left the Project Blue Book, he went off and started his own UFO organization because he knew that it was true with what he saw.
That's right.
And that's all it really takes is a good, honest intellectual to stick his foot in the water and not listen to anyone from the government telling him the truth about UFOs, such as UFOs under landmarks, crash flying saucer stories. This is what's really funny. Most of the phenomenon, at least 90% of it, is made up of balls of light. Reports that I've received over the last 12 years, most of the reports received around the world are balls of light of varying sizes, colors, that kind of thing. And so for the government to take it back to flying saucers, it's very, very strange, very old, outdated. And to make it all about flying saucers, they're not telling you about the real phenomenon. They're telling you about something that's not true. And this is very, very scary.
Yeah. I'm just going to ask quickly, Damien, are you playing with like a little Stanley knife or something like that? You got something that's flickering through,
No.
that's all?
No,
No?
not at all.
No?
It's your
Okay.
microphone, Damien. Damien's mic's playing up.
Oh,
Is that what it
Stanley
is?
knife. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna take my life mid post or anything. What are you talking about?
No, it sounds
microphone's-
like, those little
I'm not that
adjustable Stanley
depressed.
knives that click along every time you push it along. Like it sounds like it's something zippy. Like it's
Oh,
Nothing's
Yeah,
tapped your microphone.
it's Mike. He's playing Chili Buggers.
whatever that is. Yeah, is it the microphone? I don't know what that is. It sounds weird.
It's the audio
Yeah,
coming in
yeah.
off that.
No, it's Mike's Bluetooth headphones again.
I haven't got the Bluetooth.
I use wired headphones, so it's definitely you.
Well, it's coming through clear now. It stops. Is this when you're going on a bit of a spiel? It seems like just starts coming through midway or something. It's like maybe the government's listening in on this end and they're trying to disrupt you a little bit. Maybe I don't know. Oh no, they lost it. Hello, everyone. No, we're playing with the. Must be tinkering. So, Mike, tell us if you're there.
Yeah.
Yep. So, mate, tell us a bit your
want me to-
thoughts on this everything. Like, what's your thoughts on like everything's happened so far with like?
I'm an outlier. Okay. The phenomenon is primarily plasma-like balls of light that appear to be sentient. 99% of real ufology, real UFOs, rabbit ears, as I say it, are just, using the word just, rabbit ears around it, plasma forms of plasma, which is the fourth state of matter. The most abundant matter in the world is plasma, no matter what it forms on Earth or whatever. That's the first thing. Yes, there are discoidal things and a very small amount of true, real stuff. The problem with any reports from America is this. There's so much stealth technology being moved and so much high-tech drones, all sort of stuff. I have no interest in any sort of stuff coming out of the US purely because of the chance you're going to contaminate it by the noise factor. Because the noise factor in ufology is huge, be it predominantly, as you touched on before, people making genuine mistakes. Let's face it, I've made some killer mistakes. And if you asked me, I would have sworn blind, this is what I filmed, this is what I saw. I wasn't lying. I just made a complete clown of myself in stuff I've done. And I bet you, in all the years you've been interviewing people, Anthony, how many people have you told you that they research stuff and told you they've made some clown-like mistakes big time?
Yeah, I've been a couple there. Yeah, like Bill Cookers would be one of them. They've made mistakes on things. It's natural to make mistakes on things because like you're so excited on something that you found, and you're like, oh, this could be something really big here, and you get caught up in it, and then you start calming down. You start thinking about it, like, oh shit, it's something completely different.
Well, I've filmed. I went into the South Australian desert in about 1991 with infrared film in a esky with ice, trying to film these things, and I got some really unusual blob-like things based on the work of Constable and Luciano Cocconi from Italy. And I got some really other stuff, but at the same time, I was seeing these weird lights through these mists. And I had locals with me, and they're going, "That's not the road." So I've come back. And I've filmed them. I've come back and I brought these two guys I know. One of them was tied in with the ABC, Radio National, and we did a history called what the hell? I'll think of it in a second. We interviewed people all the way out to the Nullarbor Plains and back. But when I got there, we realised that what I'd initially filmed, it was truck lights through mist. So I was dumb as a box of rocks for doing that. But the slight paradox was, if I hadn't misinterpreted that, it was called To Catch a Flying Star, which is downloadable. It was one of the first audio documentaries dealing with so many witnesses in the Australian outback. Now, if I hadn't have made a complete clown of myself, we would never have got all these amazing interviews. When we started the journey, we thought we're never going to get any interviews. No, at the end of it, we could not sit in any cafe ever and bring up the subject without having 20 people killing us with stories. It was pretty amazing. So I believe the phenomenon is real. Only a very small portion of it is. It appears to be intelligent plasma-like things. I don't believe, and see, a lot of people, they'll have a mechanistic structured belief on it. They'll go, okay, it's a problem, we can solve it. It's not like woodworking, it's not like collecting rocks. The phenomena itself is non-linear, it's non-mechanistic, but people will take a mechanistic mindset to it and go, okay, here's the problem, we're going to analyse it. Because it doesn't work that way. The phenomena never was that. It's this nebulous, shifting, weirdo, whatever, that appears to follow social narratives. You remember when Kenneth Arnold had those original sightings, he said it skipped like a saucer. The reporter misinterpreted what he said and used the term flying saucer. The flying saucer craze, where people were seeing saucers, predominantly started from a journalist misunderstanding what Arnold said. So what have we got? We've got the phenomena coming from another space. It suddenly decides to change its shape because a journalist misreported the story. That makes no sense at all.
Yeah, it's easy to make those mistakes though too, like because people want to hear what they want to hear basically when it comes to this sort of stuff. And like people want to see what they want to see.
But Arnold never said he saw saucers. He said they skip like saucers. But as soon as the journalist reported he saw a flying saucer, humans started to see flying saucers. But they actually were seeing stuff. Now, putting all the noise factor aside, some of the target things probably real. So if some of the people are actually seeing real stuff, I'm being sarcastic with the next comment, the phenomena suddenly morphed into showing themselves as what people thought they were seeing. The same as when you look at the 1880s and 1890s flying ship occurrence in America, the technology at the time was balloons. Well, the phenomena suddenly turned into, hoaxes aside, balloons with little weird men sliding down ropes and saying strange things. The phenomena seems to associate itself with and change with sociological and cultural norms of different periods and cultures. It's that bizarre. But it was never about, we need more data, we can solve this. You're never going to solve it because, look, if you get all the instruments in the world and you've got something in front of you jumping around in the sky, you're going to get altitude, radar, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't matter how many data points you've got, that will never lead you to know what it is. And people will go, well, duh. And I go, well, that's what you guys keep demanding. Everyone keeps demanding. We need to know what it is. The essence of it is this. There is no crash courses. There is no ET. There's a phenomena that's here that can change and do some weird shit as well. You'll never get to know more than you do now. You never will, no matter what people say and do.
I just got kicked off. I just had to come. Yeah. Wow.
I was wondering where you disappeared too. I thought you might have been changing your mic or something.
No, I just had to log back on again. I was just logged out, and then the wheel started spinning. Okay, just talking about like people not wanting me to talk about this. Anyway, go for it, guys. Fun.
Yeah, but yeah, no, you're right though, Mike. It's how do you put it? Like, it's so much bullshit, but it's not at the same time. And it's
there is, you guys touched on the abduction phenomena, right? The abduction phenomena waves into the early abductee phenomena and the contactee phenomena. People are engaging with different beings, talking to them. That's fine. That's been happening if you look through European culture and other cultures as well. It's been happening for 1,000 years. In those contexts, they called them fairies, gods, demons, whatever. And now they're saying they're dealing with aliens. Some of the core people may be having these interactions. That's fine. But they're not interacting with what they actually necessarily believe. If you were dealing with an advanced intelligence, how come they seem to seek out the most mundane and dumb people? They're not contacting people and giving them help. They're not winning the Fields Medal or the Nobel Prize.
No, that's right. I've asked this question too. I've had a lot of people on the podcast. You know, they claim they talk to these beings and whatnot. And one of my questions all the time, every single one of them, I go, why are they contacting you? And why are they not contacting, you know, the head states or something, maybe the president, the queens, the kings, the leaders of these countries and whatnot, and talking to them and going, hey, you're, you know, whatever you're doing here is wrong. You should be doing, like, you know, sort of guiding that way. And they're like, oh, look, they got different, you know, agendas or something, like, you know, it's not always a weird answer that they can't really answer this, so they make up something there. And it's like, it's not to go and say like what they're saying is bullshit. Like, I'd like to give them the credibility on that, but like, to me, when I ask that question, they can't really give a proper answer of like why they're not contacting everyone. It sort of throws that a little bit and go like, well, it's a bit of discrimination here. Like, why are you so special in that regard?
Yeah.
Well, they'll answer with you and say, perhaps they are. Well, look at Kerry Mullins. I think it was the 1986 Nobel Prize in Chemistry. He claimed to encounter an owl with glowing eyes that was talking to him, right? Then he blacked out. So there was some communication. There might be, but whatever the phenomena is, you're not talking to advanced civilization. You're talking to the same cultural things that have been people have been speaking to for 1,000 years. And it gets worse than that. If you've had an interaction with something, why would you go seeking out? And I've seen people in your group, Anthony, asking, who can I talk to about hypnotised? And I answered them for them. I said, I can save you the money. They're going to tell you, you've met aliens, you've talked to ET, you're gifted, go to this thing, right? I'm saving the person money. I was also being sarcastic and ironic, of course, because if you can't remember anything, the hypnosis is going to bring out something. That's not necessarily what happened for a start. The fact that you've already been pre-shaped to go look for a hypnotherapist that specialises in abductees means you've got on the Google search, means you've chat to people. Then if you turn up at their house and they've got ET posters all around their room, no directing there, is it? Good God, how's that? You sit down, you pretend to be hypnotised, or you actually are, you come out, they'll tell you this is what happened. Now, how does that help the person? It doesn't help the person at all.
No. Are you talking about anyone in particular there, Mike? Any abduction regression therapists in Australia you're talking about there?
You go to the graves have been framed by Jack Brewer, who specialises in the American scene, really good anthropologist. He destroys the abduction hypnosis thing, absolutely destroys it.
Yeah, it's not a good thing to sit down in an office and the last thing you see before have regression therapy done is a bust of an alien head and pictures of UFOs on the wall. And that's definitely leading people into believing that, yes, whatever they dreamed and there's a lot of sleep paralysis as well, which is a real experience. And because you can't move, you see a being in the room. A lot of people will then jump straight away to alien abduction, and I had an alien who was pressing down on me. I saw him, and to them the experience was really real. They saw a dark being in the room or a light being in the room. They couldn't move, couldn't talk. It was scary as anything, the scariest thing in their life. And I've had a lot of people contact me. I've experienced it 3 times myself in my life, and it was absolutely petrifying. And but a lot of people will then shape that into an abduction and then look for an answer, and then straight away they'll get on UFO groups, Facebook groups. People will say, have you been regressed yet? And, tell me about this regression therapy. It'll tell me everything I need to know. And then, no, the regression person will frame it in a way that, yes, and like you say, Mike, they never leave these regression therapists without the therapist saying, yes, you've 100% been abducted by something.
100%, 100%. Everyone goes in, comes out, abducted.
Yeah, everyone's an abduction person. So there's a lot of people being abducted, but no one knows why. But then again, the phenomenon is strange as hell. It is really strange. Yeah, and it's not as simple as aliens coming from another planet. Unfortunately, that would be nice.
It would be. Like, I've had a couple of hypnotherapists come on here and explain themselves too, and they've even said themselves, like, some of the people that do the regressional therapies, they'll actually lead them into believing they are they've been abducted. The way they sort of describe themselves, like, or not describe, but like, they're trying to bring the answers out. Like, they're setting the scene for them basically. Like, it's like, okay, what's happening now? Are you laying down? Are you sitting down, or what are you doing?
And so you're looking at the aliens. Tell me, what are they telling you? What are the aliens telling you?
Yeah, there's no mention of aliens.
It's preloaded questions. Yeah. And no, it's not a good thing to do. And especially when you see these people are making a lot of money and are booked out for months and months and months on end, having people come to their home to be regressed, to be told that they're an abductee, and every one of them gets told they're an abductee. It's crazy, because if they're not an abductee, then people don't want to go to the person who's telling them they're an abductee. To the hypnotherapist or whatever. They want to be told that they've been abducted. They want an answer. They want to know something about it. So, yeah, they will always be, even if it's sleep paralysis, it's an alien abduction, 100% of the time.
Yeah. So where can we go with then? Like, if people are experiencing, like, like you're saying, like sleep paralysis and such like that, and then you got the other people that are saying that they are able to talk to beings. Like, where does that mix into this? Are we trying to say that, like, what they're experiencing is not really real? Is it something that could be like a psychological
Well,
disruption
yeah,
there with themselves or
No,
something?
no,
no, the experience was real,
no.
but it's just not what they think it is. It's not what it's being framed as by certain individuals who are making money off the field. The experience of sleep paralysis is not aliens per se. There may be a paranormal aspect to it, but science for the time being has explained it as something, between REM sleep and whatever, and you get stuck in a certain phase and your body can't move, but your eyes are open and stuff like that. And I mean, that's strange, but what it can't describe is why people, because that's supposed to be in the mode where you're having nightmares and stuff, but you're having nightmares while you're awake, right? So your eyes are open, you're still having nightmares, but you, in a way, you're strangely asleep. But it can't really explain, because people's nightmares are different. But a lot of the sleep paralysis phenomenon is revolved around a couple of things that people see all around the world. And that's strange that people would only see like a tall hat man or an old witch type being, and everyone describes it as exactly the same kind of thing. That's very, very strange over multiple cultures all around the world. And so you'd think if it was just a nightmare, people would be seeing all different things in nightmares, spiders and this and that, and things that people normally have nightmares about, being strangled by a snake or whatever. But yeah, no, it's always, they're always seeing the same certain things. So some sort of dark being or whatever. So the experiences are very, very real. But whether they're alien or not, that's another story.
Yeah. So what were you saying?
Are alien? They're alien to our belief
understanding. Yeah, that's true.
They're not.
That's
the point, and it doesn't read
Mars.
No, if the person's reporting a recollection of something, they don't need hypnosis, because once you go through hypnosis processes, you're going to muddy the water, something horrific. That's why it's not used in 99% of courts around the world. It's just garbage. If you read the works of Elizabeth Loftus on the problems of witness testimony without hypnosis, most witnesses are awful. You mix hypnosis sessions or trance-like situations, even when the actual person doesn't even go through a formal hypnotic induction, you can still cause hypnotic trance-like states in witnesses. If you keep talking to them long periods of time, you can actually induce trance-like states without waving watches or doing anything that Hollywood likes us to believe induces hypnotic states. A lot of these people are seeing or interacting with something, but my point is, whatever they're interacting with, let's pretend their actual process is real, they're interacting with the same things culturally that the people have been interacting with for 2,000 years in Europe and other countries. And people try and frame it as it's an ET or it's bullshit. It's neither. The core phenomena, pretending the person's not mentally ill or deluded or barking mad, they're interacting with something, yeah. It's not ET, it's something, but it doesn't lead anywhere. This is the whole problem. People come and ask for explanations. There is no explanation because the phenomena makes no sense. And people go, well, that's been really nihilistic. And I go, not really. The phenomena itself is nihilistic. Look at where we are now. We're 70 years after the first decent UFO stuff happening. We're asking the same questions as they were 70 years ago. And 70 years ago, they're about to come forth with the truth. We're no different now. Just got more talking heads talking.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's frustrating, to be honest. Because I'm trying to get answers.
It's a circle that keeps going around. It's a snake that keeps eating its own tail. And I mean, they're probably 1,000 years ago, and they're seeing like flying shields flying through Rome and stuff like that, and all they could, or chariots, or chariot wheels or stuff like that. They could only describe them by what they knew back in the day. What they had around them, kind of thing. But the thing's been seen, but the phenomenon has relatively stayed the same for a long, long time. If any of the old reports are to be believed, it's done the same thing time and time again on Earth. Watches us, keeps its distance. I don't know why it plays games. There is a silly kind of, like I said, a trickster element to this phenomenon. And I used to think that it was fantastic, amazing, and stuff like that. And I go out and I'll take the bin out and I'll see a UFO if I'm lucky, and then I'll be like, get back inside. I've had enough of it. I really have. It has drained me. But it's not just the phenomenon itself. It's the lack of understanding, the lack of help from the world's specialists in the field who who told multiple people they want to help you, and they're going to email you, they're going to contact you time and time and time again, and then don't. And then you hear stuff from other people behind the scenes who are on your side, who are trying to get these people to help you, saying that they think you're crazy, or that this or that, or that they're in the CIA and they're different to us. They're different to us people. And I'm like, okay, whatever. What's that mean? What, they're liars, or they're not liars, or they don't eat food? Why? How are they different to us humans? You know, what's this about? This is really weird. And they're one of these reporters with one of these professor individuals, you know, who was going to help me time and time again and never contacted me. He actually went on a podcast and he was mentioning the 100 people in the study that he was involved in, who'd been burnt and stuff by UFOs like me. And he mentioned that he thought they were crazy, or that they're seeing top secret military craft. And when I told this reporter that, the one, I said, he's not going to help me. He thinks we're crazy. Like, what? He said it in a podcast. Anyway, this reporter comes back and says, oh, the government got to him. The government must have got to him. I'm thinking, well, why are you talking to him then if you know the government got to him? And then it was like a couple of months later, oh, can I talk to this guy again about your story and see if he wants to help you? I'm like, this is several times now over several months, and no, I still haven't heard from him. You can say what you want. I've given up hearing from this bloke. And so, and time again, there was other doctors who were involved in this group overseas, a UAP Medico group, and they were trying to get these people in the group also to be interested in me, because they came out around the time I'd been talking about what happened to me for the previous 2 years before the Pentagon report came out, sort of backing up what happened to me with other people. And then, but to hear one of the guys in the study, one of the main guys, say that he thinks we're crazy or we're seeing stuff, and then do a kind of a walk on it in the next podcast. Sorry, you said a little bit too much there. You know, it's out of the bag now. So I don't trust any of these people, especially involved in the CIA. These are the guys who've been rubbishing and ridiculing the UFO topic and phenomenon for many years, as well as they've ruined a lot of people's lives. A lot of UFO researchers back in the days, you know, they rubbish, spread disinfo about people, ruin their careers. A whole bunch of stuff like has happened to people trying to speak the truth about this. And, you know, with me, I don't have any children, so I'm not worried about myself getting hurt. I you know, because I don't have that kids to worry about or anything. So I've stuck my neck out and I've tried to do it as long as I can. But yeah, I will be talking in my book about a lot of the deeper stuff that I can't talk about now, but you know, that's down the track at the moment. I'll be leaving here soon and off to warmer, sunny areas and hopefully a place with better doctors. So that's the plan.
No,
You could riff off that too, Damien.
I can do what?
If you're a medical group interested in people that have claimed interactions with light phenomena quite close to you, and you knew of Damien's story, you'd be busting down doors to interview Damien. So Damien was dealing with this group for several years, and finally one of their members bothered to contact Damien after 2 years. No, I thought it was several years. From the initial emails you told me from the US.
Yeah, no, the group only formed a couple of years ago, the UAP Medico group, after the report came out about the Pentagon report about the people injured in the study, the 100 people. That's when that group started. And I thought, oh, wow, finally someone to help us, finally some intellectuals and professors joining up who can help us. And that's why, like, after the first round of, you know, certain person saying, oh, they want to help you, and then me going, okay, after several times, it's not going to happen. Then I was contacted by another doctor who was involved in this UAP Medico study saying, has anyone from here tried to help you? And I'm like, yeah, they have. Well, they haven't, but they've said they have for several months. And she's like, oh, well, I'm going to send them a big email now. And she called me up and we spoke, and she wrote out this email and sent it to them. And like, I think one of them got back to her or something and basically said, oh, yeah, no, we've got reports on him or something. But they weren't interested. So they're making up stuff that they're speaking with doctors about me here in Australia. And even doctors in their own group are trying to get them. So to have intellectuals come into it, but then exclude all of us who are actually in the subject to begin with, and then start up their own little group and only talk amongst themselves. But at the start, it was formed to help people who had been burnt or whatever the case is, had been, to give them some answers or whatever. That's the way that it was explained to me. And that's what doctors in the group actually thought, but it wasn't like that at all. It was just for them to sit around and, circle jerk each other.
That's what I put it.
Remember how I explained in an email, that snarky little email he sent to me, it was never there to help anyone psychologically or medically. It was there to collect stories for their own.
Yeah. So the intellectuals involved, everyone, praise be, but they don't want to help any of us who are actually been affected by it, but they want to talk about it amongst themselves like they're experts in it. It is incredible. So I don't trust anyone in the media anymore. I don't trust anyone in the government, never have, especially when it comes to UFOs. And this is a subject that everybody should be told the truth about, even if they don't know the truth. It shouldn't be rubbish and ridiculed like, you don't know what you're seeing, you dumb people. You're seeing misidents, you idiots. That's what the way their attitude has been to us for 60 years and 70 years. And it really hasn't changed, even though a lot of people, were like, oh, the government said disclosure is here. No, they haven't. I did a podcast a year ago on the Jimmy Church show over in Las Vegas. And literally right from the start, it wasn't about me, the show. It was about the disclosure is here, and the whole world knows about UFOs now and it's all real. And I said, no, they don't. What are you talking about? I said, you watch and see what will happen. I said, when the Pentagon report comes out, it's going to say there's nothing to it and there's just disinformation. Misidentifications made by people, or it's this or it's that or whatever. But it's got nothing to do with ETs coming here from wherever. There's no evidence for that. That's what they said. And I was 100% right. They said it in the preliminary report, and they stuck to their guns in the final report as well. And it's basically, so a lot of stuff's been put out there by reporters, a lot of fantastical stuff, UFOs under landmarks, crash flying saucers in Italy, all spoken about by secret government whistleblowers who are too scared to show their faces. But show their faces about what? Really, what have they done to be scared about? You know what I mean? It's just, none of it makes any sense. It is all disinformation, bullshit, lies. And the people that have reached out to me over the past several months have basically reaffirmed what I've thought about the situation, because the way I experienced it and whatnot. So yeah, I have been a little bit peeved about people dangling help in front of my face and then no help coming time and time again. You don't do that to someone who's unwell. You do not do that. And I just felt like I was used for a story, basically.
Yeah, taking advantage.
I'll scratch your back if. Yeah. And because none of these people ever contacted me, no doctors contacted me. And one time after one of these podcasts, I was contacted by a reporter who said that several doctors just after one of these podcasts want to reach out to you and help you. And I was elated. I thought, I don't want to die of something that's unknown to humans and it's so rare and no one can help me. So I just thought, wow, this is incredible. Do you think one of these several doctors reached out to me? No one. No, it's just all lies. And so, yeah, I've really had enough of it, and it's affected my health in a really bad way. And I just, I need to bow out and do what I've got to do. And my last thing I'm going to leave with the world, Mike and myself, is Haunted Skies, the documentary. And I mean, it would have been out a couple of years ago, really. And we did film a lot of it. And but we had all that crazy stuff happen and weird poltergeisty stuff. And I took that as a sign. But then now we're doing it differently, and we've got someone else involved now who's actually got some skills behind him and knows how to edit things and all that. And he's worked on Snoop Dogg and Wiz Khalifa, music videos and all that kind of stuff. And, so he's got a bit of talent. And, so it's going to be interesting. And that's my coup de grace. That's what I want to leave to the world with Mike. And, he's been helping me for 12 years and stuck by my side and seen a lot of this stuff with me and experienced a lot with me. And, he's become quite invaluable, I must say. Don't get a big head, Mike.
No,
I hope
you
it's
drank
this
all
new
my
doco.
What's that? I drank the Kool-Aid. What'd you say?
No, the first time I met Damien, I left him with a bottle of bourbon to have a sip of, and came back about 5 hours later with no bottle of bourbon.
Mike, it was
Nice.
honey bourbon.
Yeah,
Oh, lovely.
I
That's
know.
beautiful stuff. All that American
a good
honey,
drop.
that goes down well.
Well, I had one glass and I was like, oh, this is a really nice drink you bought me, Mike. Thank you. And I was going to say some, but like literally 5 minutes later, I was like, oh, this bottle's empty. What the hell? I don't normally drink alcohol too. So, but
Fair enough.
yeah, that's your fault. You're a bad influence, Mike.
No, that's
Yeah,
good.
I know.
Nah.
And it's really good trying a skywatch with you after you necked the bottle of bourbon.
Have we had a Skywash after bourbon? Probably wouldn't be
Yeah,
the
that's
best
what I mean.
Skywatch.
You necked. Yeah, we had a skywatch in your backyard.
Oh, yeah, probably. Oh, it's too long ago to remember, but yeah. Oh, a long time. But yeah, no, fun times, hasn't it been? Fun times.
Yeah.
But no, look, this topic is crazy, and there's a lot of questions, and there's not a lot of answers. So, there's stuff when people put something out there, people jump onto it and go, okay, because people are looking for answers in this topic. And I refuse, and I've had people around the world offer me to say certain things about the topic, say this about it, say that, we'll give you a plane ticket here or we'll buy this for you. I had today, like Masons offer me to join them again. And I don't want to join the Masons because I'm not a public figure. I never wanted to be a public figure. I never wanted to be public here. It's another reason why I don't trust the media. Not many people know this. I wasn't meant to be public. When I had UFO Research New South Wales come up here, they sent a team. The team saw a UFO the second they arrived at the front of my house, and going over the house, an orange, bright, discoid-shaped UFO, the second they rocked up. And they were blown away anyway. And it went from there. And then the next day they saw a UFO that stopped over the head and the lights disappeared on it, and it stayed there for like 4 hours, black, as if, after they shone a torch on it. Like, these things are really, but then the following weekend, rest her soul, Mariana Flynn came up as well because she heard from the team what they saw the previous weekend. And so she came up, and over a period of 2 nights, we saw about 9 UFOs. Doing some crazy things over the backyard. They put on a show, basically, and on the second night she was here, there happened to be Sun Herald reporters in town, and there was a fire just outside of town at the time, and they were here just stopping at a bed and breakfast. They'd driven all the way from Sydney, and so they bumped into Mariana, and she said, oh, there's a guy up the road, and he's seen a whole bunch of things, and I just saw a whole bunch of stuff with him last night over his backyard, and blah, blah, blah. And so she called me up, do you mind if they come up? I was like, oh, yeah, all right, no worries. I'll talk to them. I don't want to do a story or anything, but I'll show them. Hopefully they'll see a UFO. That'd be great. Anyway, so they came up, and apparently they were tired. So I told them what we'd seen over the previous couple of nights, and I'd seen a few UFOs over my life and that. And so they might come back next weekend and do a story after we get back from Cooler. And I was like, yeah, okay, no worries. As long as you guys do a Skywatch with me, right? And then I'll think about, going on. But what made me say that was on the Wednesday, after they'd all left, and that Mariana gave me a call, and she said, on the Monday after Mariana called me, she said, oh, by the way, I'm going in the newspaper on Wednesday. I said, what do you mean? Because her team had asked her and asked me not to go public. So we weren't going to go public with anything. So it was kind of funny that the Sun Herald crew just rocked up, and then she's doing an interview on the day after she left, and then dropping me in it. And I'm like, hold on, Mariana, your team told you not to say anything. And she said that they told me that they called you up and you gave me permission. And I said, who called me up? What? The news, the Mudgee newspaper? What the hell? How would they even know my number, let alone what happened? Like, to call me up, you know what I mean? That's just bizarre. So I actually called the newspaper up, I think it was the Dubbo Liberal, and I said, I spoke with the reporter who did the story, and I said, because Mariana said that they called me up. So I twisted it around and said, hey, did I call you up? Because Mariana said that I called you up and gave you permission. And she said, yeah, you did. And I said, oh, really? Because she didn't say that. She said, you called me up. And so someone was lying there, and then that literally dropped me right in the thick of things, and that caused a massive fight with her team and the team left UFO Research New South Wales after that. They got pissed off with me because of it, not at first, but they thought it was some big conspiracy against them because they thought they had a huge case here, because it's not every time that you get a call as an investigator, you rock up to a town and UFOs are still present and still zipping around doing stuff. It is hyper rare. It just doesn't happen. So for her team to come out, see multiple UFOs, 9 of them, and then the following weekend, her to see nine people, saw UFOs the week earlier, and then she saw 9 UFOs over 2 nights with me. That was like a huge thing. And then so I can understand why there'd be some shifty things trying to get it out in the public eye, because they were angry because they wanted to be the ones who broke the story, but it ended up being her being the one who broke the story, which then convinced me, well, okay, I'm in the shit now. I didn't want to go public here, but people in town already know it's me because they know what I do. But even though I've been trying to keep a low profile, now my shit's out of the bag, right? So I was like, okay, that's why I agreed with the Sun Herald people. I said, yeah, well, look, if you come back, we'll do a sky watch and we'll see what happens from there. And that's what happened basically. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm already out there now. Thank you very much. And, the team got all angry and stuff because the story got taken away from them. They sent her a nasty email, caused a big fight with them all. And, anyway, it's just, and that's why I'm public. So right from the beginning, I don't trust the media. The media and people around this subject will tell you one thing and then do the other. And really there's a greed thing, there's an ego thing involved and whatever else. And I'm not going to rubbish anyone or say this person did that or whatever. I'm just saying what happened at the end of the day. Yeah. And, I wouldn't have even been public if it wasn't for that. So there was a few things involved. But yeah, it's happened time and time again with media, saying stuff that I didn't say, taking things out of context. It's always about a story. And that's what any good journalist, they want to make a headline which tells the greater story, which gets enough eyes to it. And whether the story is true or not, doesn't matter, as long as it's a good story.
Yeah, and that's the worst thing, eh? Like you hope that what you've got here is going to expose some sort of truth down the line there, or encourage more people to go and speak about their things, their experiences, their encounters, and that. And the way the media just warps it around, and like you're saying before, there's still a stigma attached, and it just creates more stigma attached to it, which makes us all look like loopy nutheads and should be locked up
just
in a bloody
for being interested.
Somewhere.
Yeah, just for being interested in a subject that's crazy as anyway. But yeah, I kind of realized that. I was thinking, at the start I had high hopes. I thought, hey, I'm going to find out an answer to this. I'm going to, someone will call me from around the world now in public and tell me the truth. No. I held out high hopes for a little while because I thought there's some decent people out there. There's some people who know the truth, blah, blah, blah. But there's so many people who would call me, tell me different things about the phenomenon, or it's this or it's that. So either they're all lying, or one of them is telling the truth, or they just don't know what they're talking about. And I've had people try and lead me in certain directions, and I guarantee you that it's happened with other people who've gotten into the UFO field. And I do believe that there are misinformation agents out there. We know Doty from the 70s, who used to do the same thing for the Air Force, 50 years ago, Richard Doty. And, and we know the trouble he's caused for the phenomenon. And he caused the death of a ufologist, a millionaire who was right into the topic as well. And he's still out there nowadays lying his ass off on History Channel. I can't believe it. You give a disinformation agent who's actually caused the suicide death of somebody and then happily gloats about it. And now you're an expert in telling people lies and you're talking about. This topic is just, it is really frustrating to say the least,
And that's where I was trying to get before, when I was saying people come on in the show and they talk about they're claiming they can talk to aliens and stuff like that. It's I'm not trying to discredit them or offend anyone on that. It's just I'm trying to understand it myself. Why is that such a thing? Why are you so special?
Yeah. And why does it happen to only? Why does it happen to only a few people? Why are you so special? I used to get that at the start too, even though I've never claimed to speak with aliens. Just the fact I've seen a couple of UFOs, people were angry or jealous. It's I wish I didn't see it. I wish I could scrub it out of my memory and my brain and not see anything ever again. But I can't help what I've seen and experienced in my life. And I guarantee that if anyone else had seen or experienced what I have, then they would understand me more as a person. But you can't really understand someone else unless you understand their experiences or have had similar experiences to them. And unfortunately, that's what makes people like myself a lot loners on this earth, basically, because you can't get close to people. You can't open up about what you're interested in, your true self, or what you study, or because straight away the stigma has always been there. And it's not going to get better now. I mean, people, the generations are getting, like, all the way Generation Z and all that, they're getting more open-minded about aliens and all this kind of stuff, and that there's more of an interest out there. But now there's also more rubbish stories out there, more lies about the phenomenon out there, more disinformation and misinformation. So no one really knows the truth. And but like Mike says, that there is something that has been amongst humans for a long time, and the core of the phenomenon seems to be some sort of sentient plasma type life form in certain, like, this thing seems to be alive. And John Keel and Constable used to call them the soft UFOs, these animal like creatures that fly around the sky. I've caught a few of them myself, these strange octopus almost like things that actually suck in smaller balls of light as they move through the sky. And it's fantastic. And they spit out balls of light as well that fly off in different directions. And they almost seem organic and lifelike, like a creature. And I believe, like, in our upper atmosphere, it's one of the areas, like the sea, that's hardly been, researched or hardly actually been thoroughly investigated. Who knows what type of life forms all around us, like ones that only appear in the infrared spectrum, like Keel and Constable would speak of. And so there is probably a bunch of different phenomena taking place, but the core phenomenon seems to be this sentient plasma type ball of light phenomenon. And there seems to be also some good, what we as humans would describe as good or bad UFOs out there, ones that seem to treat us like ants, so to speak. Ones that don't really care for our well-being, and there seems to be other ones that sort of just keep to themselves and do their own thing. Because people have asked me, do they affect your cameras on purpose? Do you think they do on purpose, or is it a byproduct of the energy that the UFOs are giving off? And who really knows the truth? But what I have found fascinating, like, okay, I'll say this quickly. When I did a documentary with a Canadian documentary crew, after I did a talk up at the Gold Coast, and I went out in this balcony and he had a $70,000 thermal camera. And after I did the interview for his documentary, he said, "Oh, would you like to look through the thermal camera?" And I'd never seen through a $75,000 military thermal camera. It was up on a big tripod, and I was like, no way. I looked through it, and on the other side of this thermal camera, looking out, I think we're about 7 stories up in the Hyatt, and we're out on this big balcony. There's about 15 of us out there. There's this massive UFO with a dome on the top, long, rounded sides on it, and a fully flat bottom. And I'll tell you one thing, I'd seen a discoidal-shaped UFO once in my life. I believe it was, or maybe twice, once at Tipperary when I was with Mike. But I'd never seen something this close, hovering directly outside. And then, like, as I'm watching it, I thought it was a mistake. I thought they were playing a joke on me and put a sticker on the other side. So I've reached around to the front of the camera trying to peel the sticker off. And he thought, "What are you doing?" I'm like, and then I started seeing it move. I'm like, "Oh, no way." And I said, "Look, man, is this recording?" And he said, "Oh, it is now." And he pressed the button. I saw it recording, and it's recording. Wait, this thing moved between 2 buildings. It was huge. You couldn't see it with the human eye. There was like about 10 of us with cameras out there trying to film the blank sky, not seeing anything. This one thermal camera was picking up the heat signature of something that's sitting outside a UFO conference, and happens to be sitting there the very second I look through a thermal camera. He's looked through the thermal camera and followed it all the way as it went through the buildings and recorded it as it went out to the ocean. It was fascinating. And I'll tell you one thing that happened there that makes me think that it wasn't, that it was more on purpose, because it actually messed up his camera. His $70,000 thermal camera could record and everything. the team came to my hotel room later. We're thinking we had the best UFO footage ever captured. I kid you not. I was really excited. And because a discoidal that close, I've never seen anything like that. No videos, anything anywhere exists like that. And they come to my hotel room looking totally dejected. And I'm like, what's happened? He's like, you're not going to believe this. I'm like, is the footage stuffed up? And they're like, yeah. Guess what happened? It recorded the video, the audio part, but the video, there was some interference over the top of it, some electrical interference, which destroyed the video part, but not the audio. And that's never happened before or since on that $70,000 thermal camera. It only happened when that UFO was sitting right there. Yeah, but it's up on the documentary. You can actually see the electrical interference, and you can hear the audio. You can hear us talking about this huge UFO. You can hear what it's doing. You can hear us going all crazy, but then nothing, just electrical interference on the screen. But
I was
at the
literally
same
about
time,
to ask you, where is this footage? It's like
it's on a Canadian. It's on a Canadian documentary called Mike. What's that documentary called? I've lost count of the names and stuff. It's called Be Inspired. Something Be Inspired. But anyway, it's about UFOs and seeing the light or something. I don't know. But yeah, it was great. I'll send you the details. And but yeah, it was pretty full on. So they put it in there and that. But the point is, what I'm getting to is, at the same time, while that camera was being played around with by whatever this thing was giving off, we had several other cameras there filming at the same time as we were filming with the thermal, but none of those cameras were interfered with. So that's why I don't believe that it's an actual accidental interference. And I've actually had a few other events where I don't believe it's action. I think it's on purpose, that they can stop equipment. It's like with the old UFO cases, like the Tehran, Iran airport case, where Jafari went up there in the jet and he tried to shoot at this UFO, which shut down all of the lights of the airport. He tried to shoot at it, and then all of a sudden, all his systems went dead. And so that's not by accident. That happened as a direct result of him trying to shoot this object out of the sky. And so they have some device that they can play around with your cameras, play around with your batteries, flatten. It is strange because sometimes it's weird. They let you film them, and other times they do not let you get the best footage of them. It is bizarre, and it's like they know what they're doing in that respect. I've had too many things happen that have been too crazy for it to be just, but anyway, it's just, I can go on for hours, but yeah, man, it's been a crazy decade.
It sounds like it. So, before we finish up there, I've got to ask the questions on this one. Like, so, given off your experience there and stuff, and like what's been happening with the US there, like, what's your thoughts on Australia's UFOs and such? Like, where we're progressing with that?
Is this me or Mike?
Like, the governments and such.
Is that Mike?
Who's it for, Damien or me?
Oh, look, it can be either one. Like, if you can, whichever one.
I've been talking, Mike. You take over, mate.
So, could you expand on the question, though, please, Anthony?
So, basically, Australia's involvement with UFOs, like, obviously, there's bugger all of it. Like, we're avoiding it like a plague. So, what's your thoughts on that?
How do you mean involvement, though?
Well, it's like, I guess, like, they denied it, but they're involved at the same time. Like, I don't know if you've
like the Pentagon, how they say it's not real, but we have multiple groups that look into it flying across our skies, and multiple groups that connect it together, but yet it doesn't exist. Those guys.
Thank you thanks for summing that up.
It's just constant bullshit from them. I can't trust anything they say, really. They've turned the subject into a literal joke, and and they do it through reporters. They've literally rubbished and ridiculed the subject to a point where it's going to be hard for anyone to take it really seriously for a long, long time. And I can't believe anything that comes out of any professor's mouths or anything. Anyone who talks about UFOs and stuff like that is doing it out of ego. They have no real idea what they're talking about. None of them have experienced a UFO, let alone seen one or filmed one, but yet they're experts. And I can't get around that. I don't call myself an expert. But I've seen a hell of a lot of them, and
Okay.
I do have some things about them I know about, but whether it's real or not,
Well,
who knows?
Anyway, so as I was trying to answer, they might be collecting information, which is just data points. Oh, what? Doesn't lead anywhere. Radar speed, altitude, doesn't lead anywhere. It can't.
Just all points. Yep.
Yeah.
Points in what direction? No one really knows.
Yeah, what direction? Might height speed.
We've had the US the Five Eyes meetings and sort of stuff like they've been speaking behind closed doors about UFOs. Then Australia's come back and saying, "Oh, we weren't involved there," but yet then there was evidence coming out that they have been involved in such talks there. But yet they continue to go on to deny that there's any involvement with it. And it's kind of frustrating in that sort of regard.
Not really, because at the end of the day, if you're talking to any scientist in the world, and you give them all the data points, and they actually believe that the data points are real, height, radar returns, blah, 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 they're going to turn around and go, and. Because no matter how much information that they can supply on instrumental reports, it doesn't lead anywhere.
It doesn't actually
they
tell
may
you
or may
what
not have been given.
Yeah. It doesn't tell you what the phenomenon is, no matter how many data points you have.
No, and it essentially can't. So it doesn't matter if you get 50 radars, 50 lasers, 50 whatever, it doesn't lead anywhere. So the more they say, most of the time too, the noise factor in ufology, it's not so much the government misleading people, it's the community itself misleads everyone with rumours and
it does a good job
of stuff. The community, they do the best unpaid disinformation stuff. Dottie got paid to drive different people mad. Most ufologists have spread garbage. They're not getting paid. They truly believe there's crash. I've seen the journalists competing with one guy's going, there's 112, and another guy's going, my sources tell me there's 140. Oh, here you go. I'm out on the limb for you, Anthony. There's 250. I bet you no one can beat my 250 crash source.
I like it. So, but like to further on, like what I was trying to more get at, like, okay, so we've had David Grush come out, we've had David Fravor and Ryan Graves, and they've come out in front of Congress there and admitting under oath that they've experienced things, right? So then, like, where's the Australian
they've
personnel
heard
as well
things.
in that regard? Like, people's personal encounters, like in military regard, where's their encounters coming into it? Like, where they should be investigating into that.
But there's nothing to investigate besides the actual observation and a few instrument reports. There's nothing else there. What else? You can't go anywhere. It's essentially nihilistic. It's like an entertainment machine. No matter how many people testify they've seen this stuff, and if they're trained, see, that's another game the skeptics play. The skeptics will play a game. They'll go, the observers are not trained. So if you give them a trained observer, they'll go, we need more than one. So you give them 2 trained observers, then they'll go, we need instrumental. So you give them trained observers, instrumentation. They'll switch it and go, doesn't count. So, and they're sort of essentially right in a weird way. No matter how many observations by trained observers with instrumentation, and let's pretend they're all telling the truth, and they're not, because we've seen a lot of work by Mick. What's his face? Damien knows his name.
Mick West.
Mick West, where a lot of the people, when they were claiming this object is doing this, when West went through the instrumentals very, very carefully, what they're claiming the thing is doing based on instrumental, it's not doing what they thought it was doing.
Not what it's doing. No.
The old parallax effect. And yeah, I've watched a bit of Mick West's work, and
That's not saying what they're saying. Yeah. That's not saying it's prosaic, but they're claiming it did this, it's amazing. He's showing you it's the gimbal is doing a rotation effect. So I'm trained people like myself, when I'm seeing the imagery, I'm thinking, wow, that footage shows what it's not. Him and his little gang, they solved the Damien knows one, that South American footage where the UFO tracking organisation was trying to work it out for several years. West got hold of the footage. They worked out the things. It was the afterburners. It was the arse end of a plane. They did it in about 2 weeks.
The Chilean Air Force, yeah. They actually investigated that for 15 months and ruled it out as an aeroplane. And as soon as they put it up on the internet sleuths ruled it in as an aeroplane instantly. So look, and it's funny with the TTSA too, when they came out through Tom DeLonge, and they started releasing fake UFO videos as well, which anyone who knew, like, or has used infrared or whatever, and knows of aperture and knows a whole bunch of other things and how things look, like they released that so-called triangle that was giving off the flashing lights above apparently above the battleship, but it turned out that was an aeroplane as well. and that effect was from the iris inside the actual infrared that they were using, which you can close, which actually creates that effect. That's why the stars above were also at the same shape. So, I mean, releasing stuff like that, and the Chilean Air Force and other people, and they all do it around the same time. And then I noticed Jaime Maussan released his little fake alien mummy around the same time as well, just to jump on the heap to fill the world with more rubbish about UFOs. And basically they all do it, and they've released a whole bunch of fake footage, and there may be one or two real videos amongst it. And then again, it's the old CIA thing to twist the truth and to basically spread a little bit of lies amongst the truth, and then everything gets rubbished in the end. And that's the way that they've done it for many years, unfortunately. And a lot of people believe the government, believe what they're told, and UFOs can't exist because the government hasn't said that they exist. And a lot of people think that way, and you can't get around that. You can't convince someone that they've been fooled. It's hard to convince a fool they've been fooled. And most people have been fooled on this world about the UFO topic, unfortunately. And I think it's something in the future we'll find out more about. They'll be open more about it. But if it is a threat, like I know that certain government agencies think it is, if anything to, fly around in our skies with absolute impunity, that has got to be, especially in restricted airspace, that has to be classed as a threat, especially by Americans, Russians, anyone like that, because you don't want planes or something you don't know or can't catch. That's really scary stuff. So it is classed as a threat, and I know a couple of groups out there do class it as a threat, and that could be part of the reason why they don't want to. They just want to put it under the rug with all these studies, which they keep on rubbishing at the end, saying there's nothing to it. So they're just sweeping it under the rug, sweeping the public interest under the rug for the time being until interest peaks again, and then we'll have another study. And I said all this year ago on this podcast in Las Vegas, and right from the start, 7 times during the interview, I had the interviewer call me a skeptic, say that skeptics' lives are rubbish, and all skeptics should be punched in the neck, like at least 7 times during the interview, because I dared to say that I don't think what's happening now is actual disclosure based on past information and past experiences and whatever. I was 100% right, but because of that, he didn't like it. And he believed that this certain reporter was the ant's pants, and that everything was going to come out because of him, and that I was just a skeptic for doubting this guy or whatever, or doubting it was disclosure. I didn't say nothing about the reporter, but I only said nice things. But, it just, egos in this field are so massive, it's not funny. And people who shouldn't really have big egos in ufology. I don't know why.
But that's sort of probably like what I was more trying to grasp on when I was like referring to like Australia's involvement. Like, America has acknowledged that there is something in our airspaces that we don't understand, but yet you'd think the rest of the countries around the world would be like on board with this. But like, America is leading the way with whatever.
Not really? No. Look, if you want a country that's leading the way, France years ago when they released the Cometa report, that was leading the way. That has gone further than any study out of the US talking about UFOs being real. The Cometa report. France is the ones. I think there's a couple of countries, maybe Chile and a couple others, have opened up a bit more. But the USA is more the ones that talk about it, then rubbish it, sweep it under the rug for the rest of the world to go, okay, there's nothing to it because the US says there's nothing to it. Like, seriously, I mean, I believe what I see with my own eyes, especially when other people see it with me, and I catch it on a camera. So it kind of rules out, mirages, or it rules out you're seeing stuff, or it rules out you're crazy. If other people are sharing your delusion, okay, well, I've had people say it could be mass delusion. Okay, well, you can't capture a mass delusion on camera, so no matter what you do, you always have someone who will bring you down in some way, shape or form. And there's not really enough good evidence there. That's why people are always going crazy about crash sources, because they think it's something I can touch, it's something I can study, it's something that science can look at. But every single bit of these crash saucer medals, they never get revealed to the public. And the one that did recently get revealed, that was from Roswell, apparently, turned out to be, there was nothing to it. There wasn't these strange business properties. There wasn't these strange electrical properties to it, or nothing. There was no connected cells. There was nothing like they'd said for years that was in it. And so all these, whenever I hear crash metals, it just does my head in, because I know that that is really such a small part of the phenomenon that it's negligible to the whole phenomenon. It's nothing really to it. And the solid craft thing is just such a small percentage of the phenomenon, and that's going back mostly the 60s and 70s. No, like I said, I think about 95% of what I get reported are balls of light, varying sizes and colors. So, you know, discoid shapes and stuff like that. The triangle Mike was speaking about before, about the US having a lot of top secret craft and whatnot. The triangle has seen, shaped craft is seen a lot more in the US than it is anywhere else in the world, because that could lead to the credence for it actually being a top secret military craft, because it's seen in America more than anywhere else. And so that could be top secret, who knows? But at the end of the day, a lot of it is conjecture. A lot of it is, yeah, we just don't know the truth, and it's frustrating as hell.
Mostly.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, which is the horrible way of doing things, because it just never brings out any real answers.
Yeah, man, exactly.
Frustrating.
It can be very, very, very much so. But for me, it's become more frustrating because of the health concerns I have now.
Absolutely.
And now that I know there's nothing that the doctors and specialists can really do to help me, I mean, I have to go off and, you know, just enjoy my life, you know, and stop sticking my neck out for UFOs, because it hasn't done any good for me in my life at all. So, yeah, off into the sunset I ride.
Let's go. Well, look, before we finish up there, like, is there anything like you'd like to say to the public there at all?
I'd like to thank everyone for their support over the last 12 years. You know, and all you people, lovely people who've contacted me, who I've met, who've you know, who've befriended me and I've befriended, whatever. Much love to all you guys, and I thank you for your support. And there's like literally, I've got 3,260 something messages I saw before on Messenger. I have to get back to, and I'm not a social media person, and I don't even have the Messenger app. But if you're out there and you've contacted me, I am going to spend the next, because I am concentrating on myself now. I'm going to spend the next few months getting back to as many people as I can. It's just my health has not been good for a long time. But yeah, like I said, I'm going to try and do my best to get back to everyone. But thank you for your support and all your messages. And, you know, yeah, it's actually over the years, it's convinced me to go along, a lot of people, to keep going with this, because I thought it's worth it, you know. I just can't do it anymore. But if I haven't responded to you so far, I'm really sorry, but I will do my best. And if not, I'll pay Mike to respond as me.
That could be dangerous.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very dangerous. He'll just have a pre-made response for everyone. Thanks for your message. Have a great day. See you later. No, thanks for your UFO sighting. I really appreciate you telling me about that, or something like that. We have some jokes about the messages sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, you got to have some humor about it all, don't you?
Yeah, you got to have a bit of humor, man. Otherwise, yeah, it'll drive you crazy. Trust me.
Oh, it does. It does.
I'm already crazy, so. Mike?
What about yourself there, Mike? You got anything you want to sort of share on there, or are you available to be contacted at all so that people can get in touch with you?
No, I don't want to have any stories. I don't want to be contacted. Thank you. 34 years of I've got no idea, and I don't want to speak to anyone about it.
Mike's become as jaded as I have. He's watched me become really jaded in the last 10 years, dealing with the public and dealing with reporters and that. Like, yeah, he's watched me like get really negative and turn into like some angry or whatever. But
it's easy to do though. I totally understand. Like, you see so much crap on Facebook there, and you're like, you You
Yeah.
just want to get angry, and I'm going to stop sharing such bullshit because you're
Yeah, I used to think that
disrupting
way
the whole
too, and
concept of like what we're
I
trying
just
to achieve
realized that
here.
humans are going to do what they want to do no matter what, and
Oh,
you can't change humanity. You can't change their ideas, their thoughts, their egos, their patterns, and it's just the way that people are. And this is one of the phenomena in the world. If you don't see it yourself, it's really hard to believe. And so there are a small number of people around that. And do you hear that? That's
I
strange.
can hear that. What is
Yeah,
it?
it's something. Yeah, so no, it's a strange phenomenon, but no one really knows what it is at the end of the day. And
Yeah.
if they do know, they probably class it as a threat, and that would probably be why they don't tell anybody and sweep it under the rug. And that's only guesswork from me. I don't know.
Damien, you got to stop. Anthony's trying to wrap you up. You keep ranting.
No, it's fine. No, keep going. Yeah, because
That's what I
it
do.
just frustrates me, like particularly social media. Like people sharing so much crap on there, and all it is corrupting the credibility of what people are trying to actually achieve. Like yourself, myself, Mike, and a few other people who have actual genuine experiences. And that's what I'm trying to achieve. Like have some credibility with some people, but some people just want to share absolute crap. Like, oh,
Well,
does me
mate,
head in.
keep doing what you're doing, and you've got a good role in this. Like, spread what you got to spread to the world, man. But just be careful
Oh,
As
yourself,
long as it's
and
honest.
Stop.
yeah, just be careful yourself, man. In this, and it is a crazy subject. And there are a lot of crazy people involved. So, but no, I do appreciate you having us on the show and letting me speak my words, and Mike having Mike on as well. And it's been a great experience, and something I used to really love doing podcasts, and it's something that I'll probably miss.
Stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
No, look, mate, I appreciate it, mate. The pleasure is absolutely all mine, and I'm sure all the guests, the listeners here, would have absolutely loved it. And hearing you again after we've been, underground for a little while there, but it might, pleasure is all mine, and thanks again for coming on, mate. It's an absolute pleasure.
Much appreciated. Thank you so much, Anthony, and thank you for
No.
everyone out there.
Thanks,
All right,
Anthony.
thanks, Mike. It's great seeing you, mate, and I'll get in touch with you soon.
Okay.
All the
Not a
best,
problem.
guys.
All right. See you later,
Catch you
everyone.
later.
Bye.
Well, thanks, guys, for tuning in. It's been a big night, and it's absolute fantastic seeing Damien back in the limelight again there, and throwing his few words there. And he has got a doco coming out very shortly, so we'll look forward to that one there. And I'll get in touch with Damien there down the track there, and hopefully get him back on after it's released there, and get a few wise words out of him again there. But we'll see how we go with that. But otherwise, guys, again, thank you very much for joining in tonight. Absolutely love seeing you here. Sorry I couldn't get through the comments there and the chats there with you. Just a bit too involved with the talking with Damien there. I usually do try to get some questions out there, but we'll try and do that for next time if we can get him back on again. But otherwise, guys, don't forget to like and share this podcast and share it wherever you need to go, and share it with friends and family and whatnot. So wherever you think is relevant, help the podcast get out there a bit. And I can't appreciate you enough to coming in and joining me and listening to the podcast regardless. But otherwise, look, don't forget you can support the show there with some merchandise there. Links there somewhere. I'll share it out there eventually, or if you want to get in touch with me, and I'll lead you the right way. Got some stuff there for you. But otherwise, guys, thanks again for joining in, and I'll see you on the next one there. Keep in touch. Make sure you have liked and subscribed to the page there to keep up to date with what's going on with the page there, and hopefully get things back on track a bit more, because I have been a little bit quiet lately, just dealing with family and personal stuff there. But anyway, it's hopefully back on track now. So we'll get back into it very soon. So anyway, guys, I'm gonna love yous and leave yous, and I'll see you on the next Encounters Down Under. So, guys, enjoy. And hang on, no, what have I done here? Oh no, I've lost stuff. Hang on, I'm gonna do my little outro thing there. Oh no, it's gone now. And then, oh no, hang on, wait, got to do this cool intro out. So we'll get it going. All right, guys, all the best, and catch us next time. All right, love heaps. Catch us.